there are a bunch of studies that are in process by major public health organizations that are looking at the drugs that are currently interesting, the antivirals, but only doing late stage trials of the antivirals, particularly of antivirals that are generic. So there's one particular study that is looking at hydroxychloroquine late stage with vitamin C as the placebo. I'm not going to say which group it is, but it's easy to find out. Vitamin C is not a placebo. Vitamin C is extremely well established for having antiviral benefits, actually even in late stage, more than most pharmaceuticals do. And one can expect that late stage wouldn't be effective anyways. So maybe that's just a dumb study. Maybe it's just a badly designed study. But if I wanted to say, look, Trump was an idiot, or I wanted to say, see, this generic drug we can't make any money on doesn't work, so this other drug or vaccine that we have is the only option. And so I wanted to have a particular result come out looking like science, but it's actually not science because it's science being set up to produce a particular result. I would consider that info warfare pretending to be science. Is it that or not? I can say if I wanted to do info warfare, I would do it that way. So just because something's a randomized control trial done by a prestigious university, does it mean that it's good information? No. This is a very important topic. Now here's another important topic: legitimate authority. Legitimate authority is a very powerful thing, right? Because if there is something that seems like a source of legitimate authority that can decide what policy should be or control public opinion, then the power of that is such that any group that is seeking the power to influence policy or control public opinion would have maximum incentive to try to influence that legitimate authority. And so we have no problem seeing this in retrospect, right? We have no problem seeing the way that priestly authority during the Middle Ages was very influenced by the kings and banks and whatever, that were all basically playing different aspects of power games. And so whether we're talking about legitimate authority that comes from a religious source or a science source or one thing that you'll learn about science, and this is kind of a postmodern critique, but not quite, because there's a more earnest way to take it. The more complex the physical system, the easier it is to get very different answers based on how you set up the study. And so the larger the data set is, the easier it is to cherry pick data that supports whatever I want, where it's actually not lying, it's just cherry picked. But similarly, if I'm looking at something as complex as a cell or a body, there's no way I can test everything that is relevant to that thing, right? So I can say, well, this particular biometric went up, and that's a measure of health. There might be plenty of other biometrics that also went up that are measures of illness, or that went down that are measures of health, but they aren't even things that we look at in the study. And so I can do info warfare very well with complexity, because I can say, what is the thing that I want to say to advance whatever the narrative or the agenda is, and I can make something that looks like science that says that thing. So just because something looks like science, can you trust that it is true? No. You actually really have to look at the preponderance of data. You have to look at how the methodology was done. You have to look at who funded it. You've got, there's a lot of things. And as the situation gets more complex, the more so. So basic physical chemistry inside of a beaker or how a transistor works is very, very different than how a cell works. Now, does that mean that all authorities are run by lizard people to install 5G nanobots and make us part of the AI matrix? No, it doesn't mean that. And that's one of the other things is people jump to kind of maximally paranoid pattern matching.